Hello po. Ma'am Kay, nakamute ka po din eh. Pero magandang gabi po.
Magandang gabi, hi Berna. Kumusta?
Ayos lang po, pero init na po.
Oo. Magkahiwalay po kami ni Berna ngayon ng lugar, kaya po kami ay nagkukumustahan. Magandang gabi po sa inyong lahat. Welcome po sa ika-14 na episode ng Senior City. At maraming salamat po ulit. Acknowledge po natin ang Senior City sa panahon ng COVID. Sino pa yung iba, Berna?
Ang siso po at saka po ang init para po sa ating senior city kwentuhan ngayon.
Ako po si Kai Santos.
At ako naman po si Berna. Kanina pa po binabanggit ni Ma'am Kai.
Oo.
Kami
Kami
makakasama ninyo ngayong gabi para po sa ating episode ngayon.
Dala po namin ngayon ang episode. Sa substitute po muna ulit kami hahalili kina Sir Ed at saka Sir Ed de la Torre at kay Ma'am Girlie Villariba para sa episode na ito. Kami po ay galing sa Philippine Rural Reconstruction Movement o PRRM na miyembro din ng Civil Society Network for Education Reforms or INET Philippines. At sa gabi pong ito ay may iba po kaming topic ni Berna. Noon pong kami ang nag-host, ang amin pong theme ay food security para sa 3 episodes. Tapos bumalik po si Sir Ed at Ma'am Girlie. Ang kanilang theme naman ay tungkol sa aging well. At yung isang episode nila ay tungkol sa parangal, sa mga pillars ng Bantayog Foundation. Bantayog ng mga Bayani Foundation. Yan po yung nakaraang mga episode. So, ito po ay may 3 o 4 na episode ulit kami, Berna, na i-host. At ang theme naman po namin ngayon ay tungkol sa coastal resource management or the blue economy or the Philippines as a marine and archipelagic nation. Yan po ang title ng episode natin ngayon. MANA, nanggaling po dun sa marine and archipelagic nation. Birds?
Ayun. And dahil po dyan, ang ating pong pag-uusapan ngayon is yung mga 3 episodes po na naipalabas sa CNN Philippines na The Way Forward, kung saan po pinag-uusapan po doon yung mga nabanggit po ni Ma'am Kai kanina about the blue ocean, blue economy, and then yung sa bakit naging mana ang tawag ng PRRM din sa Philippines. Kasi yung mga nakaraang episodes po, nung kami po ni Ma'am Kai ang nag-host, and nabanggit niya din po sa akin kanina na parang pinag-usapan po kasi is food security. So akala namin that, more on kalupaan ang sumasakop sa Pilipinas. Pero ngayon, dito po natin malalaman kung ano po yung papel ng ating mga fisher folks and our coastal resources para po sa kabuuan po ng Pilipinas na mamaya po mababanggit na 82% of our life is actually found underwater, which is very interesting topic po na pag-uusapan natin ngayon. And ngayon po sa una po nating ipapalabas na video ay ito po yung episode 1 na-shorten lang din po namin, and thanks po kay Ma'am Andy sa aming editor po sa video na to, na na-shorten po talaga niya yung buong episode 1 po ng season 1 din po ng The Way Forward, at ngayon po atin po itong pag-uusapan. Pero bago po yan, ipakilala din po namin yung mga naging speakers at
Yeah.
ano po sa episode 1 po na ito. Okay?
Okay. Ipakita ko po. Sa first, the way forward po ay matatagpuan nyo sa YouTube. So, i-search nyo lang po yan. Ito po kasing isi-show namin ay shortened versions po. Pero each episode of The Way Forward ay halos 30 minutes o mahigit pa, no? So, sa first episode po ng season 1 na amin pong isi-show pagkatapos nito, yung shortened version. Ito po ang ating speakers. Kung makikita niyo po, ang The Way Forward ay hino-host ni Attorney Karen Jimeno. Siya po ang host. And for The Way Forward Season 1, Episode 1. Ang kanya pong mga guests ay si Dr. Rodora Azanza. Siya po ang President ng National Academy of Science and Technology. Si Professor Deo Florence Honda, Deputy Director for Research ng UP Marine Science Institute or UPMSI. Si Attorney Kim Jacinto Henares, maaalala niyo po siya. Siya po ay dating Commissioner sa BIR, Bureau of Internal Revenue. At ang pang-apat pong tagapagsalita sa episode 1 na ito ay si Honorable Francis Hardelesa. Siya po ay isang retired Associate Justice ng Supreme Court ng ating bansa. Marami pa pong ibang mga magsasalita sa episode na ito, pero sila po yung magbibigay ng inputs tungkol sa The Blue Economy, which is the title of this first episode. Kung mapapansin nyo po rin po sa baba, this episode discusses the blue economy and the significance of the victory of the Philippines over China in the West Philippine Sea arbitration. So ito po ang episode 1 ng season 1 ng The Way Forward. Bird share sound.
Ayan. So, habang hinahanap po namin ang video natin ngayon, ito na po siya.
When people think of the ocean, they think fish. But did you know that this is so much more than that? The Philippines Exclusive Economic Zone covers an estimated 2.2 million square kilometers of water. This makes up 82% of our territories. And yet, it was only this year when the Philippine Rural Reconstruction Movement defined the Philippines as a maritime archipelagic nation or MANA. In this three-part special, we explore what the blue economy is about and dive deep into the Philippines' unexplored potential. I'm attorney Karen Jimeno, and this is The Way Forward. In this episode, we sit with movers, shakers, and thought leaders who will give us an overview of the untapped opportunities of our oceans and the marine resources. Can you explain to us what the blue economy is?
The blue economy is a new platform for development. It involves the sustainable utilization of the marine resources for the good of the community.
Is there anything that governs the use, utilization, and access to the blue economy?
It's the decade of the ocean. So the United Nations has declared the decade for the people to take care of the oceans.
What do you think the government should do then in terms of the blue economy?
We are advocating the use of science, technology, and innovation, not only for the preservation and sustainable utilization of the marine environment, but all the natural endowments of the country.
Do you think that a convention like the UNCLOS is helpful to the blue economy?
The UNCLOS, in a way, gave us the privilege to make use of our EEZ. I think there should be more support to the fisheries and oceans. We should harness sustainably of what we have, our natural endowments. So we need a framework, really, in terms of how we can take care of this living and non-living resources of this vast natural endowment of the country. I am looking at the fishermen, poorest of the poor in the country, and they have not benefited from these vast resources. And also for the fishermen, magsama-sama kayo at sabihin ninyo ang anong mga tulong na kakailanganin ninyo. Yung pangangalaga ng mga isda at pangangalaga ng ating karagatan, hindi lang ang gobyerno ang dapat maging responsable, tayong lahat para sa karagatan.
Our territories, at least including the extended continental shelf, make up around 82% of our territories. It means that 82% of the Philippines are found underwater. And yet, we have only really explored and understand little of it. We don't have this national policy that will put everything in one page and then dictate on how we should move forward in utilizing the resources. There should be an initiative coming from the national government because everything should be initiated by the government. But on the other hand, there should also be an initiative on the grassroots level, on the ground, coming from the scientists, for example. We believe that there's still a need for a separate Department of Oceans and Fisheries.
So far, a lot of our policies have been land-based or land-focused.
We always say that it should always be a ridge-to-reef approach, meaning whatever happens on the reefs or in the mountains will always affect what's happening out in the ocean, such as in the coastal ecosystems.
The Philippine Rural Reconstruction Movement is focusing on food security and sustainable rural development.
Pero kung minsan nakakalimutan na itong 7,000 pulo ay nakapaloob sa isang mas malawak pang karagatan na ngayon ay dapat bigyan natin ng higit na kahalagahan. Kaya ang mana po sa interpretasyon na ating pamahalaan na gusto natin ay maritime and archipelagic nation.
If we will embrace the concept that we're a maritime archipelagic country, then the next phase is that as a nation, we have to embrace that concept as well.
Tumulong na lang ang gobyerno para pangalagaan yung mga pangisdaan natin.
Huwag po nating payagan na makuha yung West Philippine Sea natin. Mas bali pagtanggol po natin para lagi na tayong maraming makukuhang isda sa dagat.
Umpisa nang sila ngayon ng isda dito, yung galunggong dito, nawala. Wala nang mahuling galunggong dito.
Sa tingin ko talagang sa solusyon doon, ma'am, dapat po sana, paalisin na po sila sana. Kung hindi man sila mapaalis, wag na po nila pagbawalan ng katulad nating mga Pilipino na mga fishermen din po.
Dapat sana, yung mga maritime o coast guard natin sana.
Kailangan po nilang ipaglaban ito. Ano man mangyari, kailangan maging atin ito dahil atin naman po ito, hindi sa kanila.
Yung West Philippine Sea, atin yun dahil nasa loob ng ating par. Ayun, talaga dapat niya kausapin yung presidente ng China para mag-usap sila para kung ano man ang mapag-usapan nila, mapalis talaga yung Chinese vessel doon sa nagbabantay doon.
Considering your background in finance, perhaps you can give us an idea of what you think is the potential for revenue when it comes to the blue economy.
Well, the potential is really great, no? Because the blue economy really covers a lot of things, right? It covers maritime transportation, it covers tourism, it covers the aquatic resources, which include the seafood. The other thing is that when you talk of blue economy, it's about developing something that's sustainable, right? That recurs. When normally when you tap this natural gas and oil, it's a depleting resource. I think we should harness our maritime transportation infrastructure. No? I think fishery also, I think government should put up more maritime fleet that will help our fishermen.
On that note, what do you think is the value of UNCLOS and the favorable arbitral award that the Philippines was able to get to ordinary Filipinos, particularly the fisher folk?
Well, the value of UNCLOS is supposed to define every country's territory, at least from the coast, their coastal waterline, their EEZ, right? And the arbitral award is important to the Philippines because it shows that we are a nation of a rule of law. And secondly, West Philippine Sea is important because not only because it's ours, but it's part of the whole ecology. No?
Sa pool, hindi maabot na sasapat yung aming kinikita dito. Dahil hindi naman pang araw-araw, minsan makakahuli, minsan wala.
Tingali, kung makigdialogo ang atong presidente po sa China, aron malikayan ang mga dili maayo nga mga panghitabo sa atong relasyon sa China isip mga amigo sa Pilipinas. Dialogo ang gikinahanglan. Ay mga barko nga naa sa laing nasod nga nakasud dito siguro sa Pilipinas sa mga Taiwan, Thailand nga dito ta nag-export hinuon nila ang kita hinuon nga mga taga Pilipinas wa na hinuon ta makakuha sa kahimo sa atong isda ni palit na hinuon ta nila dito sa taga-gawas nga ato man ang isda. Kung pwede maabot akong tingog dito sa kay Presidente Marcos nga moingon ko niya nga kung pwede lang kung unsay ato moy ato ang ila dit na manghilabot sa ila dili pud ta magpahilabot sa ato ang ato ug gikuha nila ang ato atong bawion.
What do you think, in your opinion, is the value then and now of having secured a favorable judgment for the country?
The value, Karen, is clarity. That is why we advise, at least the legal people, advise the president that it was worth filing the arbitration. At least we started that there is no such thing as Nanda's line.
What is the difference between sovereignty and sovereign rights?
Sovereignty is like, to put it in simplistic terms, if we are sovereign over Luzon, because Luzon is our territory. So we have full civil political control, the Philippines, over Luzon. Sovereign rights is over the area outside of the territory. Then you have 200 nautical miles outwards towards the sea. We have the right to exploit the fish and the right to exploit the underground minerals.
What would be your message to the fishing communities and to our government right now when it comes to just maintaining that momentum when we won an arbitral award?
So he has expressed already that he is embarked on an independent foreign policy. So we will wait and we hope that the Department of Foreign Affairs sees it through. Okay. Well, my message to our fisher folks is that I think the Filipinos would be there to help them.
PRRM has spent over 7 decades in rural development. We were biased in favor of farmers, and the fisher folk told us, food is not just rice, it is also fish. The Philippines is more than 300,000 square kilometers of land. Our exclusive economic zone is 2.2 million square kilometers. We are the 15th largest fishing nation in the world. The Philippines is a maritime and archipelagic nation, or MANA. Mana natin ito. We must defend it.
Yan po ang ating first episode ng season 1 ng The Way Forward. Ang dami pong pumapasok na concepts at mga bagong natutunan, at least ako, no? Isa na dito halimbawa yung dinefine ni Honorable Hardelesa, yung sovereignty at saka yung sovereign rights. So meron tayong talagang direct sovereignty over yung teritoryo ng Pilipinas. Yung isang example niya ay Luzon. Pero may sovereign rights din tayo doon sa sinasabi niyang 200 nautical miles palabas ng boundaries ng teritoryo ng Pilipinas. So meron palang ganon. Tapos yung isa pa ay yung EEZ na sinabi ni Attorney Henares, yung exclusive economic zone. Pero para sa akin, yung narinig ko, at least yung na-appreciate ko ay maraming legal terms na binabanggit, pero parang nagka-cut across sa mga sinasabi nila yung the importance of the resources, the natural resources, yung ekolohiya ng ating karagatan. Yun yung tingin ko nag-cut across sa mga binabanggit nila. Ikaw, Burns, anong na-pick up mo sa mga sinabi nila? Maikli lang yan, pero ang dami na pag pinanood pa natin yung buong episode na yun, mas marami pa.
Tama po kayo. And since yung episode po na ito sa The Way Forward, the season 1 is about blue economy. So, ano nga po pa talaga ang blue economy? And nakuha ko po talaga doon na ito yung paggamit natin ng ocean resources is smartly enough para makapag-create tayo ng jobs for our fisher folks and maka-help siya to grow our economy while taking care of the environment. And yung nabanggit din po ng ating first speaker na si Dr. I'm sorry, nakalimutan ko yung pangalan. Pero yung sa president po ng president po ng Science and Technology is that kailangan talaga ma-incorporate or ma-integrate yung paggamit ng science and technology and innovations for our blue economy. And kasi again, there will be new ideas coming up, creating jobs for our fisher folks, like hindi lang sa fishing industry, kundi pati na rin po doon sa tourism, sa renewable energy na makukuha natin from our coastal resources, and yung pagkaroon po talaga ng paggamit ng resources natin in a wisely manner and ma-incorporate
Sustainable.
Yes, sustainable. So blue economy po it's all about using the ocean wisely and sustainably to help the people and the planet to live a better lives. And dalawa pa po doon sa mga nabanggit nila na mga terms like yung EEZ, tsaka po yung sa UNCLOS. Kapag sinabi po nating EEZ o kaya exclusive economic zone, like let's think of it as a special area around the country's coastline. So according naman po sa website po ng ating Senate of the Philippines, like etong zones po na to ay nag-stretch from the coastline and give the Philippines specific rights over the resources within us. So nabanggit po kanina ni Sir Ed De La Torre kanina po sa last part ng about sa nagbanggit po na there's 2.2 million square kilometers of water yung po natin. So sa area po na yon sa Pilipinas, like the country has special rights to explore and use those resources like mga isda, oil, and natural gases. And we can also control activities like yung fishing at yung drilling po ng ating natural resources. And although ang mga countries po, they can sail through enough doon sa areas po na yon, and they can also fly over, pero they have to follow the rules set by the country, which is the Philippines, because that the country owns that EEZ or that exclusive economic zone. And for the legal basis, nabanggit din po kanina yung UNCLOS. Pag sinabi po natin UNCLOS, that is the United Nations Convention on the Law of the Sea. So on UNCLOS po yan. And yung rules po ng EEZ, they are the one who set that international agreement, which is the UNCLOS po. And in addition po doon sa EEZ natin, sabi din po sa ating Presidential Decree number 1599 series in 1978, na yung EEZ po ng Pilipinas is again nag-i-extend po ng 200 nautical miles from its coastline, or kapag kinonvert po natin yon for a square kilometers of the water, that is 2.2 million na nabanggit din po sa ating video kanina. So nabanggit po yung dalawang units, pero parehas lang din po sila ng sukat talaga. It's either 200 nautical miles or 2.2 million square kilometers of the sea. And again po, within those zone, ang Pilipinas po ay may karapatan para po i-explore, i-exploit, and i-conserve po yung mga natural resources natin dyan, as well as the jurisdiction over activities like constructing po ng different activities like probably artificial islands, and protecting again the marine environment. Kasi yun nga po, nabanggit din ni Ma'am Kai kanina na it's really about coastal management, coastal resource management. And dito po sa presidential decree po na nabanggit ko, so the president can authorize rules and regulations for implementing this decree with penalties for violations. Kasi po again, dun po sa rule na naset po ng UNCLOS is that the country follow the rules. Those other countries should follow the rules set by the other country that owns that EEZ. So, yun po ang aking nakuha doon.
Na-research.
At na-research na rin before pa namin ipalabas sa inyo. And dagdag ko rin po, Ma'am Kai, na kanina nga po nabanggit natin kanina na 82% of the Philippines are underwater. So, yung call po nila to action to have more support aside from UNCLOS at pagkakaroon din po ng dedicated department po talaga in the national level of oceans and fisheries ay importante din po talaga para po ma-address pangangailangan at interest din po ng ating mga fisher folks. Kasi sabi din po ng isa sa mga speakers natin kanina na fishermen are one of the poorest of the poor in the country by profession. Dahil nga po, lahat po ng activities and programs po natin is more on land focus or land utilization. So nawawala po doon yung paano naman yung karagatan at paano naman po ang ating fisher folk communities. So yan po. Okay?
So yan po ang aming nasimulang pag-aralan ni Berna. May mga ilang episodes pa na pag-aaralan namin yan. At i-share namin po sa inyo yung ilan pa. Meanwhile, so that's episode 1 on the blue economy. Yun pong pangalawang episode nung season 1 ng The Way Forward. Para po sa mga sanay manood ng Netflix, na mga series sa Netflix. Di ba po may season tapos may episodes ang bawat season. So ang episode 2 po ay entitled A Fish Out of Water. At ang mga speakers po sa episode na to ay itong mga sumusunod. Ang amin pong presidente sa PRRM, si Sir Edicio de la Torre. Sumunod po ay si Honorable Jonathan de la Cruz. Siya po ay former congressman mula sa Abacada Party List. Si Mr. Nestor Domenden, siya po ay OIC National Director ng BIFAR, ng Department of Agriculture. At si Attorney Asis Perez, siya po ay dating Undersecretary ng BIFAR. Yan po, sila po ang 4 na speaker sa episode 2. So panoorin po natin ngayon ang episode 2, which says food security is national security. There is an estimated 2 million Filipino fishermen, and while they produce an estimated 4.4 million metric tons of fish to feed 110 million Filipinos, sila po ang nagpapakain sa karamihan sa atin. They are among the lowest income earners. How do we help improve their lives? Should there be a separate department for our fisheries and ocean? Episode 2 po ng The Way Forward, Season 1.
In this episode, we sit with movers, shakers, and thought leaders who will give us an overview of how critical the ocean is to our food security.
What does it mean to be the Philippines? We never think of ourselves as first an archipelago. An archipelago by definition is a body of water on which there are islands. We are much bigger than the 300,000 square kilometers of land. So the idea of mana natin, dinagdag ko yung natin, is our heritage. And we should value it, we should appreciate it, we should develop it, and if necessary, we must defend it.
Why a lot of the fishermen in the Philippines, the fisher folk, why are they still considered poor or they don't really earn as much in the industry?
There's a parallelism between small farmers and small fishers, but the difference also is that the farmers as a sector is top of the mind. Fishers, they're like on the margins, so there's not much attention paid to them. That's part of the reason why they want a separate department of fisheries that can really pay attention to their specific interests, their needs.
What is the significance of the West Philippine Sea to the Philippines?
It belongs to our exclusive economic zone. The resources in that should belong to or should be exploited, should be developed by us. We have to approach this multilaterally because this is not simply a question between two countries.
So what is the value of the UNCLOS and the arbitral award to the Philippines and specifically the fishermen?
We have the power of principle, but we still have to continue arguing. And hopefully the principle of power is not just the alliances among the nations, but also the organization of our communities, the fisher folk, and also hopefully with politicians who respond to them. Mahalaga tayo. And more important, on the larger picture, mana natin ito. So let us appreciate it, let us develop it, let us protect it.
What do you think are the important issues that need to be addressed soonest when it comes to the fishing sector?
We have to upgrade our fishing industry. We have a lot of fish and everything else, but we don't have the logistics for this to be able to be processed, for example, or brought to market. We have a Bureau of Fisheries and Aquatic Resources, and we also have a Philippine Fisheries Development Authority, which can actually, with these two units combined, can actually focus already. We have to take care of our oceans and our waters, our areas, through diplomacy and also through upgrading our own capability to enforce our own laws and our own requirements.
Nababuhigang kita ang mga basura ug kini ba nakaapekto diha sa pag-ubos pagpunhod sa kuha ninyo sa isda.
Nagi na siya epekto ma'am kay nakadaot mo na siya. Ang basura sa laod na daghan baga kayo manglutaw. Labi na gidugikan gibagyo, nga paglurang, naagi daghan basura manglutaw, klase lang, plastic. Minus gidang kuha sa panagat sa laod. Mimikan man pud kay dili man pres ang klima god. Pagbugnaw ang silawom, wala gituna.
The Philippine fisheries industry contributes about 1.27% to the GDP, and this is represented by about 2.3 million registered fisherfolk. And each of these fisherfolk has an average monthly income of 15,000 pesos. And the industry feeds 111 million with an average of 31 kilograms annually of fish. We have to capacitate our fisherfolk to reach the farthest waters of the country. We have to intensify educating our fisherfolk. We have to strengthen our supervisory role, meaning law enforcement and monitoring. We have to modernize our fishing industry. Our laws should be based on science. To the government, we know that our future lies with our oceans. Our fisherfolk, let us not kill the source of our livelihood. If we do not care of our seas, as if we don't care for our children.
Oo, sang-ayon ako na magkaroon ng departamento yung pangisdaan dahil mas nakikita namin makakapokus yung gobyerno. Mas konti lang yung nakukuha ng Bureau of Fisheries do sa bondo ng Department of Agriculture. O so magiging departamento ng pangisdaan, mas magkakaroon ng isang tutugon at magtutuon ng pansin upang pangalagaan yung pangisdaan mismo.
Do you think that we as a country are doing enough to help or address the issues of our fisheries industry?
Our water is 8 times bigger than land. And we're yet to fully develop this potential. We're supposed to take care of the exclusive economic zone of the country. And we're dealing with international issues as well. The small agency like BFAR is simply not enough to do all those tasks.
There are some data on fishermen being among the poorest in terms of profession.
There was a shift from volume-based production to value-based production. Before, we don't have close season in fishing. And so we fish all the time for 12 months in some areas. But now we've restricted fishing to 9 months. So lower production cost because you go to the sea only 9 months. But lo and behold, you produce more. The good thing about fisheries is fish has the capacity to compensate for its growth.
Do you think there's any value in the Philippines obtaining a favorable arbitral award under the UNCLOS?
Well, we won already. So we're hoping that our country, the current administration, will continue to assert and stand its ground. What is needed is to develop a policy framework that will ensure that the private sector will be inspired to invest, to put in technology, so that the fisheries part of the blue economy is fully realized. Now, when the president speaks about food self-sufficiency, it is food security also, but the source is local. What we are against is unnecessary importation that affects local production. We have vast resources that are waiting to be utilized for the benefit of the nation.
I'm attorney Karen Jimeno, and this is The Way Forward.
Okay. Thank you. sa episode 2. Si Attorney Karen Jimenez ang host. So ito pong ating episode 2 naman ay pinag-usapan ang a fish out of water. Ni-research ko rin po ang ibig sabihin niya isang wala sa kanyang kinasanayan, no? Hindi 'yun ang kinasanayan niyang mundo o kapaligiran, ganyan. So parang ganun po ang nangyayari na ang ating mga lalo na yung mga maliliit na mangingisda ay nagbabago na rin ang kanilang kalagayan, ng kanilang kabuhayan. Sila nga po yung pinakamahirap, no? Kung ang maalala po natin yung binanggit ni Sir Ed De La Torre sa dulo yan nung episode ng The Way Forward. We have to appreciate it, develop it, and if necessary, protect it. So parang pagpapahalaga natin sa ating archipelagic features bilang isang bansa, sa ating coastal resources, at ano naman ang maiaambag nito, maitutulong para mapaunlad at matiyak natin ang kapakanan ng mga maliliit na mangingisda, mapaunlad ang kanilang kabuhayan, ang kanilang kalagayan, at matiyak ang kanilang kinabukasan, yung mga susunod na henerasyon ng mga mangingisda. Burns, ikaw, what's your take?
Sobrang dami po. Pero yung mga na lang, yung pinaka tumatak po talaga sa akin is yung nabanggit po ni Mr. Nestor kanina na which is nabanggit na rin po natin kanina na ulit na naman po na yung status po ng mga fisher folks by profession is the poorest of the poor in the country, na sa GDP po natin, there's 1.27% po naiaambag ng ating fishing industry, and that is from the 2.3 million registered fisher folks po ng bansa. Pero yung ano po nila, monthly income po nila is mga around nasa 15,000 lang. Pero yung pinapakain po nila is nasa 111 million na mga tao, mga Pinoy po dito sa Pilipinas. And that is annually po nasa around 31 kilograms of fish po yung na-produce nila. And parang connected din po yun sa nabanggit po ni Sir Asus na ngayon po ay nag-i-import po tayo, which is very unnecessary because there's a lot of resources that we are yet to utilize po talaga. And ang pagkakaroon lang po talaga ng strategic na atake para po maibsan natin itong problema na to is magkaroon po talaga ng aggressive po na campaign for the government na ma-actionan po itong problema natin sa ating coastal resource management. And nabanggit din po kanina, kasi kanina po sa episode 1 natin is binigyan po tayo ng data na 82% of the Philippines, the life of the Philippines are found underwater. And nabanggit din po ni Sir Asus kanina na 6 times bigger po yung yung lawak po ng water resources po natin than our own land in the Philippines. So ibig sabihin, yung 82% po talaga na yun ay ibig sabihin nakabase po talaga yung life and resources po talaga ng Pilipinas underwater, and that is yet to utilize po talaga. And kailangan lang po talaga natin gawin is magkaroon po talaga ng capacity building para sa ating fisher folks at ma-modernize po natin yung fishing industry natin na nabanggit din po ni Sir Jonathan, kasi ang main problem po ng ating mga fisher folks is yung logistics mismo. Like, paano nila iaangkat yung produkto nila from water to the market na maging accessible din po talaga sa kanila. So, ayun po.
Oo. Naalala ko rin yung binanggit ni Attorney Kim Henares sa unang episode kanina. Napakayaman ng ating resources sa karagatan, pero napakahirap naman ang buhay ng mga mangingisda na kumukuha ng kanilang kabuhayan mula sa dagat at para itaguyod ang ekonomiya ng Pilipinas. So, isa ding pwedeng mahalagang pag-isipan natin, no? Balikan ko rin yung binanggit mo, Burns, kanina yung sa EEZ, Exclusive Economic Zone. So narinig din natin, may ayon sa ating research, may 3 susing characteristics ang EEZ, no? Sovereign rights, nabanggit mo na rin kanina ito. The Philippines has special rights over the resources within its exclusive economic zone. So yung fishing, mining at iba pa. Pangalawa, meron tayong exclusive control. Sabi mo nga, ibang bansa pwedeng gumamit pero dapat ayon sa kapakanan at sa mga batas ng Pilipinas at Pilipinas ang magdedesisyon. At pangatlo, meron tayong environmental responsibility. At yan ang paulit-ulit na mensahe sa mga nagsasalita. We have to protect our marine environment because ang daming nakasalalay. Ekonomiya natin, buhay ng mangingisda, pagkain natin, food security. Which brings us to the 3rd episode ng season 1 na ito. At yan ay ang kaka-download ko lang ng poster. Binigay sa atin ni Andy nga pala. Thank you to Andy for editing the videos and for making the posters. At kay kay Sir Eden for making the poster for this episode. So ang atin pong episode 3, tulad ng pag-introduce namin kanina, ay may 4 sila na speakers sa episode 3. Yan po, pakita ko. Mga kilala niyo po siguro ang mga magsasalita dito sa episode 3 na ito. Una po si Dr. Clarita Carlos, ng National Security Council. I'm not sure kung siya pa rin ang nasa NSC, no? But she of course works for the nation's security, continues to advocate. Si Honorable Benjamin Magalong, former mayor po siya ng City of Baguio. At si Ambassador Rosario Manalo, former ambassador and undersecretary sa Department of Foreign Affairs natin. At si Honorable Gilberto Teodoro, former secretary ng Department of National Defense. So panoorin po natin itong episode 3 na nagsasabing, did you know that the Philippines Exclusive Economic Zone or EEZ covers an estimated 2.2 million square kilometers of water, and that the Philippine arbitral victory rules that there is no 9-dash line. How do we help Filipinos safely fish in Philippine waters? So please, let's all watch episode 3.
In this episode, we sit with movers, shakers, and thought leaders who will give us an overview of how the blue economy impacts our national security.
The blue economy right now is something that's been a trigger for also international cooperation. Would you consider this platform as something that can be effective when we look at, security issues?
In fact, that's one of the best platforms because how can you quarrel with environmental protection, conservation?
What is the significance then of the UNCLOS when it comes to determining these overlapping claims?
Well, UNCLOS is very important because it provided the regulatory framework for colliding claims.
So do you think there's something that needs to be changed as well when it comes to our approach, when it comes to diplomacy or the types of treaties that we have?
Why are we always talking about changing ourselves? How about changing the other actors? Let's deal with low politics area, less tension, and then we engender goodwill. There's trust, there's confidence. And then when it is time that it spills over into the high politics area of territory and sovereignty, we would have planted the goodwill there. In terms of our maritime security, let us provide our military there, our civilian Coast Guard, with all the wherewithal to really do their job.
How do you think local government units should deal with, taking care of local constituents, but also making sure that whenever there's an incident, it doesn't really incite a conflict at an international level?
By the way, Karen, we're also impacted indirectly by the ongoing issue on the West Philippine Sea. Prices of fishes are increasing, and the number of varieties of fishes that are coming into the city of Baguio is becoming more limited now. And local governments should find ways on how to address this, because fishermen are very, very much dependent on their livelihood, especially if they're getting their products from the West Philippine Sea. So the only way we will be able to, resolve the issue is through dialogue, constant dialogues, low-key dialogues. Besides, our only objective there is to allow our fishermen to go to that area and proceed with their livelihood.
What do you think of treaties as a solution, like the Mutual Defense Treaty?
Consensus building, establishing strategic alliances. We really have to make sure that we have the capability also to protect our own interests in the West Philippine Sea. In fact, we have been receiving a lot of complaints from our own fishermen that they are not allowed to fish in that area.
What would be some of the tips perhaps that you can impart to local governments that are in the coastlines to help them, perform better as local governments, considering the issues they deal with, including threats to the sea?
Learn more about crisis negotiation and crisis management. Second is there are a lot of alternative livelihood programs that they can actually implement in their own locality, like, for example, product development, establishing a value chain.
And lastly, what do you think of the role of local governments when it comes to initiating and seizing these opportunities? The Supreme Court's Mandanas ruling gave more power to local governments.
Yes, autonomy is the right approach, game changer. But for us, local government, we feel that we're shortchanged. The money, the increase in budget, the increase on the NTA will only cover the devolved functions. So, as I've said, let us just wait and see.
Yung West Philippine Sea naman, matagal na namang inaangkin ng Pilipinas. Kaya mas sinasabi namin, kami mga isda, atin pa rin yung West Philippine Sea. Hindi yung atin na, inaagaw pa rin nila. Pero pag tayo naman yung papasok, hindi naman nila payagan. Kaya malaking problema to sa usapin ng Pilipinas.
Why is the West Philippine Sea significant?
Because the West Philippine Sea is territorial waters of the Philippines. It is an extension of the Philippines' sovereignty from the outermost island, 200 nautical miles outward.
What is the exclusive economic zone?
The entire territory is an exclusive economic zone, which means that no outsider can come in there to harvest the fruit without the permission of the government of the Republic of the Philippines.
What is the distinction between the two, sovereign rights and sovereignty?
Sovereignty is an element of a state. If you are asked, are you a state? The Republic of the Philippines, of course we are a state because we meet all the requirements to be a state, and one of them is sovereignty. Sovereign right is if you're a sovereign state, you have every right to exercise that right within the territorial water or land, the territorial designated extensions, and that's the exercise of a sovereign right. Sovereignty is the source of our sovereign rights.
What is UNCLOS?
The United Nations Convention on the Law of the Sea, in which the Philippines participated, it is a convention that has to do on the management of the territorial waters of all countries, particularly archipelagic countries all over the world.
What are the three modes of settling disputes under the UN Charter?
Well, the first one is what we call the diplomatic process, which is bilateral negotiations. It's a diplomatic action. The second one is settlement through a legal action, which is the parties to a case will bring it to the International Court of Justice. And the third one is through arbitration.
The decade of ocean science for sustainable development, I thought this was more of just like a milestone.
And that's very good for the Philippines because we are an archipelago surrounded by waters. There are so many other things that you can produce or you can harvest from the sea that will bring wealth to particularly the women, rural women who are involved there. The thing is, I think women should be given more education, opportunities for education, and more money must be invested for women to be educated in blue economy.
So as a seasoned diplomat, what is the value of diplomacy when it comes to the blue economy?
Well, the value of diplomacy when it comes to the blue economy is to prevent war.
Why is the West Philippine Sea significant?
Well, the West Philippine Sea is really a major source of resources, whether mineral resources, fisheries, and other potential development rights that should redound to the benefit of our people now and for the future.
What do you think is the best approach to solving the West Philippine Sea issue?
That will take a lot of skilled diplomacy in order to solve that. But one thing is undeniable. The livelihood of our fisher folk is primary because this is survival for them. And that arbitration ruling states that UNCLOS is the basis for determining what is ours. And our exclusive rights in the EEZ is clear.
Do you think that the Navy and our Marine and Coast Guard should be strengthened more than the Army to protect our coastlines and our marine waters?
When you talk about equipping your Air Force and your Navy, you must also concomitantly strengthen your command and control systems, your communication systems, that people should think of our cybersecurity systems and information technological systems.
Do you have any message to our government and then also to our fishermen?
Let's exploit the goodwill also that we are generating from other countries. And for our fisher folk, report po lagi tayo ng mga intrusions kung meron. Kami po ay nagpapasalamat po sa inyo na patuloy ninyong ginagawa itong mahirap at mapanganib na gawain para mapakain po tayo ng protina na kinakailangan ng ating bansa.
I'm Attorney Karen Jimeno, and this is The Way Forward.
Yung episode 3 po na yan ay entitled Food Security is National Security. Sa marami pong dahilan, dahil tayo ay pinapakain ng pangingisda, at kung tayo ay napapakain, tayo ay secure. Food security ay habang may kakayanan ang mga mangingisda na makapagpalaot at makapagpangisda ng safely, ng ligtas, yan din ay usapin ng national security. So yan po ang mga diniscuss ng mga speakers ni Attorney Karen, host, doon sa episode 3 ng season 1 The Way Forward. Season 1 po ako ng season 1 kasi meron pong season 2 at aabangan po natin yan sa susunod na Senior City episode. Meron pa po kaming isang huling video. Hindi na po ito The Way Forward para po sa huling mga minuto ng episode natin ngayong gabi. Panoorin po natin, ito po ay mga kwento ng mga mangingisda, maliliit na mangingisda sa isla ng Camiguin, sa island province ng Camiguin, Mindanao region natin. Panoorin po natin.
Ang inisip po parang advokasya. Pag ginagawa mo parang ginagaya ka.
Kailangan mong maresolba itong mga problema kasi yung mga tao umaasa sa iyo kasi ikaw yung leader
Kay kini among ipananom, dako kay tabang sa katawhan kay panahon sa mga trahedya, mabot ang mga dagkong balon, storm sword. Yung 12 kami, yung kasama sa yung ang layo. 12 kami, ako ang pinakamahina manghuli ng pusit kasi bago. Parang hindi mabubuhay yung pamilya ko. Ang inisip ko, gusto ko yung kahit please ko, kahit konti lang yung huli ko, dapat siya yung income is medyo may parang may add-on. So ang ginagawa ko, yung naisip ko yung mag-drive.
Pag
Katapos sa
Ang siring pangutanan. Sa simula, ang ginagawa namin, yung patuloy yung individual processing namin. Yung naisip ko kasi, ayoko yung may manluloko. So, ang ginagawa ko, pag magpresyo ko, sinasabi ko sa yung mga katabi ko, ang presyo niya ay palabig ubos daw. Kanang pantay-pantay lang tayo sa presyo para yung irespeto yung produkto natin.
Tinitimbang namin yun, tapos pag timbang ng 200 grams, tapos lagay namin ng supot, lagyan namin ng label. Ay, yung label. Tapos, pagkatapos naman, isilar na naman namin ulit. Tapos, yan. Dami ang
Inisip ko parang yung tumibay kahit wala kaming pera, kahit wala kaming yung mga resources, kulang ng resources, pero matibay yung samahan namin. Tamang-tama na siguro.
Anong una, bago pa lang ako mag-asawa, mangingisda na talaga ako. Kahit nag-aaral ako, nangingisda. Nung hindi ako nakapagtapos ng pag-aaral, talagang sinisikap ko yung sarili ko na mabuhay. Hanggang dumating ang panahon noong 2015, nakuha ko bilang isang kinatawan ng NAPSI sa Artisanal Fisher Co. Dati, wala kami pakialam eh. Wala kami pakialam sa dagat. Talagang pumunta lang kami sa dagat. Tinitingnan ko lang yung ibang mga kasamaan ko, walang pakialam sa dagat yun eh. Kaya nung dumating yung PRRM, kaya doon namin nakikita talaga, ito pala, pwede pala. Pwede pala natin gawin, pwede pala natin gawa ng paraan para makontrol natin yung mga illegal fishers at yung pagpreserba natin dito sa mga tabing dagat. Ang sa akin lang, gusto ko lang matulungan ko yung mga samahan, malagay sa isip nila nga ito pala ay mali, ito pala ay hindi tama, ito pala ay gusto natin. Gusto ko lang makatulong sa samahan, makatulong sa mga sa environment natin, sa dagat natin. Para sa sunod na henerasyon, may makikita pa yung mga anak pa ng anak natin.
Okay po, medyo bitin tayo kasi naubusan na rin kami ng minutes. We will try to show it sa next week nating Senior City. Pero yun po ay mga kwentong maliliit na mangingisda sa isa ng Camiguin nga po na nagpapatunay ng mga una nating narinig mula doon sa The Way Forward episodes. So, gusto po rin naming maging theme ito ng dalawa o tatlo pang susunod na episodes ng Senior City, yung tungkol sa ating bansa, ang Pilipinas bilang isang marine and archipelagic nation. Pag-unawa natin, paano po ba natin mauunawaan? Sabi nga ni Sir Ed, appreciate it, no? Dahil pag nandito po sa utak natin ay talagang bubuhayin natin siya. Utak at puso, bubuhayin natin siya sa ating mga paggawa, sa ating mga gawain. Burns, anong ating huling mga salita sa gabing ito?
Ayun. So, sa darating po sa mga susunod po na mga linggo ay magkakaroon po ng activity ang mana natin ito.
Atin ito.
Atin ito. Nag-derive naman po yung idea po doon sa Philippines as the maritime archipelagic nation. And ang activity po natin dito ay magkakaroon po tayo ng voyage para po sa ating mga si Ma'am tayo ayan. So more of like po ito, civilian supply and international observers mission po ng atin ito group, and ito po ay sa darating na May 14 to 17, 2024. So ito pong ginagawa nating episode ngayon po sa mana natin na sa ating Senior City Kwentuhan po ay preparation po para po sa ating magiging mission po doon sa mga kasamahan po natin na nangangailangan po ng tulong natin for this one. So, ayun po.
Sige po. Isa pa pong announcement bukas po April 29, inaanyayahan po namin kayo sa building ng PRRM sa 56 Mother Ignacia para po sa Tiangge ng Nayon celebration of the World Health Day mula alas 8 ng umaga hanggang alas 3 ng hapon. Kita-kita po tayo bukas. Burns, kita-kita tayo.
Ma'am, sa ano
Maganda
po yung sa Monday?
Salamat po sa lahat. Salamat kay Cassandra.
Opo. And para po sa mga detalye pa po ng ating atin ito po ay pwede niyo pong bisitahin ang kanilang Facebook page para po doon sa activity po na nabanggit namin kanina. Maraming salamat po. Paalam.
Thank you.